Now, Mayor Mamdani beat my brother and Sliwa, and there were two concerns. One, he wouldn't be able to deliver on his economic promises, and we'll see. The other is that he would not protect the Jews. And there has been no real pushback from his lack of action on this from the left. And in fact, really everybody has said the minimum. Once again, why? Let me bring in progressive podcaster Adam Mockler. Adam, it's good to see you. Happy New Year. We'll touch on this, and then I want to move on to Minnesota or healthcare, your choice. When Trump said what he said in Charlottesville, I did not think it was wrong for people to jump on him for how he was trying to cut it too thin and, be careful about it. And you guys were right to come after him. Why aren't you doing the same thing with Mamdani about Hamas?
Zohran Mamdani did not say that both sides. He did not both sides anything. He's had two statements, and in one, he said, quote, chants in favor of a terrorist organization have no place in our city. Every single top Democrat in New York, from AOC, who just said this is, quote, a disgusting and anti-Semitic thing to do, to New York Attorney General Letitia James. She just said from her government account, Hamas is a terrorist organization. We do not support terrorists, period. This needs to be condemned in a strong manner, and Zohran Mamdani has led the way. Honestly, I want to flip this back. I think you should have the same energy for the Trump admin who is still employing Paul Ingrassia, who said he has a Nazi streak. He has a Nazi streak. Or J.D. Vance, who had a very weak response to the Young Republican group chat where they were talking about gas chambers. Zohran Mamdani and AOC have issued stronger responses than both of them in those scenarios.
Two things. One, comparing which of you two is worse is what put us in this situation, which is where everything is now a function of what's bad. Second, I go after the administration more than anybody who has a platform like mine. So I hear you on that message. But I will say that the language is the minimum. Whereas you guys, when you talk about Trump, you talk about him more vehemently than you do when you talk about a terror organization. Why?
Donald Trump is currently employing somebody who said he was on a Nazi streak. So when we are calling people in this administration fascistic, and we're talking about him in that manner, it's because he's employing people who say fascistic things. Zohran Mamdani fired somebody who said anti-Semitic things over a decade ago, which he should have, and he said this is a terrorist organization. This has no place in our city. Can I ask you, what's wrong with that wording? Chants of a terror organization have no place in our city.
Nothing's wrong with the wording. Nothing's wrong with the wording. It's just the emphasis. Right? When you guys talk about Trump, you got like 100 adjectives about how terrible it is, and fascism, and Nazi, and Hitler, and Gestapo. Why do you use such strong language? Because you're trying to convey a message about how deeply you are opposed to this. With Hamas, you do the minimum. Whenever it's anything about the far left fundamentalism, it's the minimum. That's my point.
Hamas is an enemy of the United States. They're an enemy of Western civilization. And most of all, they're an enemy of the Palestinian people. It's important to remember when Donald Trump had that 20-point peace plan, Hamas took that as an opportunity to kill dissidents in Gaza. They are the enemy of the people in Gaza and the enemy to Western civilization. And I think Democrats should continue to reiterate that, honestly.
Reiterate? It's the first time I ever heard one say it. Good for you. You should run for Congress. All right. So, Adam, let me ask you, what do you want to talk? You want to talk Minnesota or you want to talk health care? Your choice. I
think both are very, very important. The Minnesota shooting has been dominating headlines because any American who has been paying attention could have seen this coming. ICE has funded more than a lot of militaries. They've been emboldened by allowing masks to be raised at all times. I mean, they've cracked the ribs of 79-year-old U.S. citizens by throwing them to the ground. They become increasingly violent. And listen, again, I'm a center-left Democrat. There needs to be interior immigration enforcement in some way, of course. But I don't see the interior immigration enforcement targeting criminals or dangerous people. It seems like ICE themselves are becoming dangerous. I mean, they clashed at Roosevelt High School nearby hours after Renee Nicole Good died. So it's just not.
What do you make of the suggestion? I'm with you. And one of the reasons we have a problem is we're not seeing the data soon enough and comprehensively enough so we can know who they're actually getting as opposed to them just saying it. The pushback is, yes, they are getting more aggressive because the left is getting people more radicalized to go and oppose them as if they were an invading army, and that's why there's the violence.
It's kind of a chicken and the egg situation. Any interference with law enforcement should not be perpetrated by Americans. Number one, it's not smart. You don't want to interfere with law enforcement. It puts you in danger. So I don't think anybody on the left, anybody should be interfering with ICE. But I think we saw the escalation in violence coming from ICE before people started to get riled up. This was our reaction to ICE escalating. It's obvious that undertrained, uncoordinated agents are going into majority Latino areas in order to stir things up, and then the administration uses that as a pretext to further stir things up and lie more. So it's kind of like an escalatory cycle where things keep on escalating because the administration keeps like mobilizing more agents, putting more fuel on the fire.
Well, that's what's going to happen in Minnesota, and we'll see what happens. You and I have talked about this before, and we'll talk about it again. If it's a battle to the bottom, nobody wins. We're going to have to see which side comes up with a message that's about better. Adam Mockler, you make a great case, and I appreciate you being here. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.